harassing emails. Dave?
Mr. Chair, I would like to settle this ongoing problem that we've had for some time. For a little recap, I have been accused of harassing employees of the school district via email by 2 school board members. When I confronted you about the last meeting to explain to me which emails were harassing, you told me that you had requested 32 emails and that 32 emails sent to a member of the administration was harassment in and of itself. And I filed a right to know and got those 32 emails, and I would like to explain briefly what those emails are. I received 44 emails in total to my right to know. 2 of them were before I was on the board, and those 2 were duplicated 4 times. So that accounts for 8 of the emails that I received. 2 of the emails were me asking the tech director a question about how to set up my new school email account, which he was very helpful with and answered me. Those 2 emails were duplicated 4 times in the right to know, so that accounted for another 8 emails. One of the emails is me answering an email sent to me by the tech director, sent to me that the tech director was CC'd on by someone else. So when I answered that person, I answered the tech director. That was duplicated 4 times. 5 emails I emailed to the school board and the superintendent, and the superintendent added the tech director to the CC, which made perfect sense because they were technical questions. Those emails were duplicated 4 times and accounted for 20 of those emails. I emailed the tech director once, and I emailed the school board and I CC'd the tech director sharing an article about technology and education that was in the New York Times. That is the 32 emails. Are you stating here that this is harassment?
Is that a question for me?
Well, certainly, because you pointed to these 32 emails at the last meeting and said it's harassment. Mrs. Corcus agreed with you. I don't believe you had looked at the emails at that point. I took the time to look at these emails, and I'm asking you, do you consider these harassment?
Well, it was not the last meeting. It's been several meetings now since we've talked about this, so, but there were definitely more than 32 emails. And quite honestly, I don't have that information in front of me at this point. But there were definitely more. I know we could go back and look at the minutes, but there were a lot more than 32 emails that were discussed at that meeting.
Mr. Argo, you discussed another number of 100 and something emails from September, before I was on the board. If those emails were duplicated 24 times, you're looking at a number of 25 times, which for somebody that is involved in technology in the school as a parent is not an excessive number. And I think you have to look at the content. We're talking about these 32 emails since I have sat on this board. You said at the last meeting we discussed this, that 32 emails sitting on this board to a member of this staff constitute harassment. Do you stand by that now, knowing that there's really only 8 emails that we're actually dealing with, and none of the content of those emails is harassing in any way?
I would say I stand by my original claim, but not that there's only 8 emails. There are significantly more emails than that, and I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Argo, I'm going to ask you to produce those emails. I have taken the time. I have copies right here for anyone that wants to read them. These are the 32 emails. I filed the right to know. If you have other emails, please bring them forward. Throwing around accusations of harassment affects my reputation, and I think you need to back it up, or you need to retract that accusation at this time. I have the emails here. You've had plenty of opportunity to look into this. Where is your evidence? Where is your example of my harassment?
As I stated when we first discussed this, the emails that I noted were all part of the right to know. The original right to know request.
Which were duplicated 4 times. I filed the right to know, looked at them, and they're duplicated 4 times. It's right here if you would like to read it.
Well, you're talking about a portion of the emails.
I am talking about it at the meeting when we discussed this, and you said 32 emails constitutes harassment. I filed a right to know with the superintendent for the 32 emails that you mentioned, and this is what he sent me. They were duplicated 4 times to create 32 or 44.
Well, again, there were more than 32 emails that I referred to. And again, I'm not going to go back and forth. You have 32 emails in front of you, that's fine, but there are a lot more than 32 emails that I referenced at that meeting. And they were all part of the right to know. And as I stated on more than one occasion, it was not the content of the emails, it was the quantity of the emails.
And the quantity...
The administration, excuse me, the administration has a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of major issues going on in the school district right now, and to continually receive emails, repetitive emails, not duplicated, repetitive emails, is quite honestly a waste of their time.
Let me explain to the public what I mean by duplicated. These are not emails that I repeatedly sent to anyone. I only was involved in 8 emails. When we filed the right to know, when I filed the right to know, for whatever reason, 4 emails were produced for each email. So this is not me repeatedly sending emails. When I'm sharing an article about education, when I'm asking about how to set up my email account, have you talked to the tech director to see if he feels he was being harassed in these emails? Have you talked to the superintendent? Because I have them right here and I've read every one of them. And I don't see any harassment. I see a number of 8 that I was involved in. And if we're going to run this board where you throw around an accusation and you bring nothing to the table, I don't see how we're going to be a legitimate board. So I ask you, Mr. Argo, let's move on. Please retract the statement that I have harassed employees of this district, and we can move on.
I have nothing more to add, but I agree, let's move on.
And then I would ask you to step down as chair so that we can have someone head this board with integrity that will not make false accusations about other board members and affect their reputation.
Next item we have on the